So I've been noticing over the last few years there's been a growing trend focused around the need to wake up earlier. The most often suggested times are typically between 4 to 5 am. I feel as though I'm seeing a wave of people wanting to adopt this because either a celebrity or someone successful they know is doing it. The belief is if they blindly copy this, it will give them the same hustle, drive, or results to those that they aspire to. Whilst there isn't anything wrong with this train of thought, you fundamentally miss the point of considering if this is the right thing for you. Success isn't about blindly copying others, it's about finding the right thing that works for you and doubling down on that. In this video, I want to discuss the benefits, the potential drawbacks, and just some all-round things to consider to decide if this change is really the best thing for you. I was first introduced to the concept of waking up earlier and having a proactive morning routine from a single book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I was further cemented on the idea of trying this after reading a more recent book called The 5 AM Club by Robin Sharma. I would highly recommend both of these to anyone who hasn't already read them, as I know I walked away with many golden nuggets after working my way through them. Let me start by saying I believe the sole purpose for waking up early should not be about trying to work as many hours in the day as we can, or by trying to prove you're on the grind to all your followers on Instagram. We all only have 24 hours in the day. We should only be waking up early if we determine that by doing so, we can be more productive in those hours than at any other time during our day. With that being said, let's dive in and look at some of the positives. Firstly, having a proactive start. I think this is an often overlooked but important point as to why people should wake up at least a little before their day is about to start. I'm a big believer that we can decide how we want to feel each and every morning by setting an intention for the day. By starting the day being surrounded by emails, messages, alarms, conversations, and alerts to things which instantly get your mind racing, you have no choice but to go into firefight mode for the rest of the day. Creating some time and space in the morning allows you to have some space before the day starts to set a foundation and a tone for how you want your day to go. Secondly, creating time. Getting up a little earlier is often one of the easiest ways to create time. Now, when I say create time, I mean, as you all know, we all have only 24 hours in a day. This is far more a game of how do we get more done in the areas that matter to us within those limited hours. One of the best things about waking up early, typically in that 4 to 5 am window, is that the majority of the world is likely to still be asleep. That means not only do you have time to do things, but you have uninterrupted time to get those things done. Use this time to do things to set you up for your day. That might be planning, meditation, visualization, critical work task, or physical exercise. Lastly, how you do something is how you do everything. I loved this idea from The Miracle Morning. It explained that how you do one thing is how you end up doing everything. By hitting that snooze button in the morning, you're telling your brain that it's okay to put off important things. Remember, when you set your alarm, you're doing it for a reason. By putting it off, you send the wrong signals to your brain. Creating a morning of intentionally putting something off goes on to setting a tone for the rest of your day. However, start the morning with a bang, get up on time, make your bed, and have a cold shower, for example. It creates momentum. I find if you own and dominate your morning, you are much more likely to dominate the rest of your day. So those are the main positive points that I like the idea of. But what's the flip side to this argument? Let's talk about some of the negatives. Being busy or being productive. An important idea not to gloss over here is to determine exactly what you're trying to fit into your morning that will drastically improve the rest of your day. Just by waking up at 5 am without the correct intention, I can assure you will make very little difference. Be aware, for the vast majority of people that work a 9 to 5 job, we are geared to be busy rather than to be productive. Think about this. At work, if you get all your daily tasks done by 1 p.m, can you just go home? Chances are you'll be congratulated and then given more tasks, or you'll have to wait around until the time you're allowed to clock off. This has wired our brains to work on being busy, and not necessarily being productive with our time. This train of thought spills over into many aspects of our lives and should be considered when deciding if we want to start waking up earlier. Don't wake up early if you're just blindly copying someone you look up to. Figure out what routines you are actually going to benefit from, and in particular, take some time to figure out if the morning is the best time to fit them into your day. Secondly, having a productive day doesn't mean you have to wake up at 4 a.m. Being proactive just means creating time to get things done before your day actually begins. Now, depending on your lifestyle, this could mean wildly different things to everyone. Someone who has to be up for work at 6 a.m. versus someone who has to be up at 8 a.m. live two very different lifestyles, and therefore it makes sense to not necessarily have to wake up at the same time. The same can be said for those who have children and those who have others to look after versus people that live entirely alone. Consider your situation when you're trying to find those productive hours, and it will be different for absolutely everyone. Lastly, too many people try and fix their weaknesses but forget to double down on their strengths. Now, I'm not saying for a second that we should ignore things that we are weak at, but I do believe to a certain degree people are born with more natural given strengths in certain areas than others. For example, I believe not everyone could be a world-class singer, a football player, artist, therapist, coach, teacher, you get the idea. We all have a gift and an ability in certain areas. It's often a better tactic to figure out what that gift is and double down and tunnel vision on that to find your success. This is also true for how you make the most of your day. If you're generally not a morning person, don't force yourself to be a morning person if you can avoid it. If you work better in the evenings or even during a lunch break, double down on those bursts of energy. So overall, before you decide to just start waking up earlier, consider and try the following. Sit down and decide what specifically you want to do with these hours, and then for at least a couple of weeks, keep a diary of what your day looks like. Record what you do with each hour of your day. Reviewing this after that time, you can accurately answer the question that is this actually the most productive time to get those things done? If not, maybe waking up earlier is not the best option for you. Secondly, consider if you're actually a morning person overall. Do you enjoy the feeling of getting up earlier and before the rest of the world? If you're going to wake up at 5 a.m., get a few things done at 40% energy, and then let that early morning set a bad tone and ruin the rest of your day, maybe waking up early isn't for you. If you don't fundamentally enjoy something, the chances are you're not going to stick with it in the long run. Lastly, before you go from waking up at 8 a.m. to 4 a.m., I would strongly recommend starting small. You'll hear me discuss this in a previous video about why our habits fail, but I'd suggest start by just creating an extra few minutes in your morning and then working your way up to eventually having a spare hour or two. Be sure to check out my previous video on this for more information. So yeah, overall, I'm on the fence with this one, as I don't think it's as simple as black or white in that you should or you shouldn't do it. The answer will largely be different for everyone, as we're all individuals and we should consider this when making the decision. So I'd recommend trying it out with good intentions and figuring out if it's the best thing for you. I hope this gave you some food for thought, and I look forward to catching you in the next video.